What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another video of the Fantasy Premier League 2022-23 season. In this one, guys, we're gonna talk about some important FPL dilemmas for Game Week 17 before the deadline. So if you like the video today, guys, make sure to hit the like button. Also subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel for more FPL content. And with that, let's start today's video. I will start with the first dilemma that a lot of FPL managers have this week, and the question is how many and which premium FPL players to consider. I think it's a very important question to ask yourself when you're building your team for Game Week 17, guys, is that how many premiums can your team actually allow, and what is the structure, what is the balance, and what are the players to kind of look at. Now, personally, I've not really seen any teams with just one premium, with just Haaland and no other options like a Kane, like KDB or Salah in the team, and I think it's realistically a choice between 2 or 3 premium options. Now, the premium options that we're talking about here, guys, are Haaland, and this is assuming that everybody is already having Haaland in their team as one premium option. So it's basically the competition between other options for the second or even the third spot, and the other options in that category are Kevin De Bruyne and Salah in midfield, and then Kane among forwards. Because I think if you're going with Salah and KDB, I think it's likely going to mean that you will possibly let go of some value in midfield or forwards, so you may not be able to afford an 8 million spot. Maybe you're not able to go towards a Darwin Núñez if your team value is a little lower. Now the other direction is that, let's say if you go with one of KDB or Salah and then you go ahead with Kane, then what exactly do you have, guys? Are you able to afford an expensive third forward, or are you able to get an 8 million midfielder? You have to check with your team value in your team, guys, and see what sacrifices you're making in your team and be okay with it, because if you really want an 8 million midfielder spot and you're probably not getting that with 3 premium options, I think having slightly more flexibility with 2 premium options, guys, I think that's a better bet. For my own team value as well, guys, I feel that going with 2 premiums is the way to go, because that really allows me a lot of funds to spread across the team and make it a lot better. It definitely makes me spend a little bit more in defense, guys, and I can punt on a Reece James. I can even have an 8 million midfielder spot, which I can rotate on players based on the best fixtures, and then also go attacking with basically having a Darwin Núñez in my team. Now, regarding the premium option and which one to go for, guys, I think if you are unsure about Foden's minutes, I think KDB is the one to go for here. Haaland plus KDB represents a strong option from Man City. They also have double game weeks coming up very soon. So I think you're possibly saving a transfer further down the line, guys. Let's say if you're going with Salah and then you have to switch towards KDB, that's one additional transfer. And you save that straight away if you go for KDB right from the start. But I feel it's a safer play. The more attacking play, though, is going with Salah, because I think his point ceiling looks a little bit higher than KDB at the moment. KDB is more creative, but Salah definitely has goal scoring potential, guys. He also has hat-trick potential, which I don't personally see in a KDB at the moment. Now, talking about Harry Kane, guys, if we see him in isolation, I think it's an okay pick. It's a great pick, in fact, because he's been scoring goals, he's been in great form. But I think, like KDB, his ceiling is also slightly limited. Plus, there is potential to cover the Tottenham attack with Kulusevski, guys. I think that really helps you with the 8 million midfielder slot as well. Of course, don't get me wrong, guys, Kane is not a bad FPL option, but I just feel having a combination of Salah and Núñez, I think it can be more explosive than maybe going for a KDB or even a Kane. Now let's move on to the second dilemma, guys. Our Chelsea attackers were targeting from Game Week 17 onwards. Now Chelsea has an incredible fixture run coming up, guys, facing all 3 promoted teams in the next 3 game weeks. Now the attacking numbers for Chelsea, they've been quite average, to be honest, and Chelsea only ranked 15th for expected goals for the 2022-23 season, which is quite disappointing. On top of that, guys, their top scorers are Havertz and Sterling with 3 goals each, and that is Chelsea's biggest problem, guys. There are no standout options in attack. If you want, you can go towards a Mason Mount or Raheem Sterling, which are some realistic options in midfield. But then again, guys, with no form, you're definitely risking out on these players just because of the fixtures being good. Talking about these picks individually, guys, I think Sterling is expected to start an attack, but he hasn't returned since Game Week 5. And then Mason Mount has only returned in 3 games this season, guys. The last one was in Game Week 11. The underlying stats for both players are also pretty poor, but they do give some optionality, guys. In case if you are looking to go for a Sterling or a Mason Mount, you can easily switch if these guys do not work out. If both the picks don't work out for you, you can easily switch to a player like a Foden, Saka, Maddison, or even a Kulusevski if you are looking for a differential. I think Aubameyang or Havertz can also become options later, guys, but for now I think it's just Mount and Sterling, and even both of them are risky punts at this point that may not work. So be sure that you are aware of those risks. Be sure that you are okay taking that chance, going a bit risky, going against the crowd, and attacking the Chelsea options with the right fixtures but hardly any form, guys. Now let's move on to the next one, what to do with Man United players. Now guys, Man United is another team that has had an erratic season. I mean, they started very slowly, conceded a lot of goals, then they won some games, then again conceded a few goals against Aston Villa in that poor performance. So it's been topsy-turvy for Man United. But I think Ten Hag will expect some consistency going forward if they especially want to finish in that top 4 Champions League spot, guys. Now the fixtures for Man United, they are all against struggling defenses. So there's Nottingham Forest, there's Wolves, then there's Bournemouth as well, before they have 2 tricky games against Man City and Arsenal. So if you're looking to attack the players, the fixtures in the short term, I think getting Man United options can be the way to gain rank. I'm a bit worried about their defense though. Martinez may not be back for Game Week 17, and then there's a possible injury to Varane, and that means that Maguire and Lindelof, they could be the possible 2 centre backs playing for Man United. That is not very positive. And then there's injury to Dalot as well. There could be some concerns there. If he's out, I think then betting on the Man United defense, it looks a bit tricky, guys. Still, if you are looking for an option, you can go for Luke Shaw. He's a great differential option. He's also less than 5 million, so I think you're not really paying a lot of money for a good option, for an attacking option, playing for a premium team. Now coming to midfield options, there are a couple of picks you can go for. There is Bruno Fernandes, which is the most premium option in midfield, guys. But I just feel with options like Rashford or even Anthony, if you are okay taking a bit of a risk, a bit of a chance, I feel Bruno Fernandes is a bit expensive, guys. We still do not know how is he gonna play, whether he's gonna be more attacking in the absence of Ronaldo, or whether he's gonna probably play in that withdrawn attacking role. We still don't know that, guys. And without that information, I think I'm not very comfortable betting a lot of money on Bruno Fernandes, and that's the reason I like Rashford, guys. He's not costing us a lot of money. I think he's a sure shot starter in that United team, and he's been in good goal scoring form in the World Cup as well. So there are all positive signs with Rashford. You can easily get him, you can chop and change. Maybe you can go towards an 8 million option if you have some additional money, if the Rashford move doesn't work out. If you have more information on Trossard having a double game week in Game Week 21, guys, then we can make that Rashford to Trossard switch as well. So that option is also there. Now, in case if you are looking to go a lot more differential, and if you are trying to chase rank, try to beat your mini league rivals, etc., then I think Anthony is also a great option. I don't see a lot of people talking about Anthony, but I think he's also looking like a sure shot starter in that United team, and I think he could do really well from an attacking sense. Coming to forwards, guys, and there's one potential option you can go for if you're looking for your second or your third striker option, and if you're looking at a differential pick, guys, I think Martial is a great option. He looks to be fit. He's had some decent time now to prepare for this Game Week 17 fixture and the fixtures beyond this, guys, and I think he could be a great option to go for, especially considering that he's quite cheap and playing for the Man United attack. Now there could be a chance that he may not start all the coming games in quick succession, guys, but I think there is still a lot of potential in Martial. Even if he comes on the bench, I think he can score goals, and I think he could be a great pick, especially in that budget sort of a price range. Now let's move on to the next question, guys. Is investing heavily in defense and going big at the back a good idea? Now, investing heavily in the defense and going big at the back was a great strategy at the start of the new FPL season, guys, but because of players like Trent and Robertson, they didn't fire, and then options like James and Chilwell, they got injured. This strategy has not worked out for FPL managers this season. Now the question still remains, should we again invest heavily in defense with most of the players back and acting as potential FPL options? Let's talk about the league's best defenses for a moment, guys. Newcastle and Arsenal, they've only managed to keep 7 clean sheets this whole campaign. Even Man City has only managed to get 6 from their 14 games, which is not very high. And then most FPL managers will already have a player from these teams, guys. So the most popular combination is probably going to be Cancelo, Trippier, and one of Saliba, Gabriel, or White. Then you have the 4th and the 5th defender options. Now these are the 2 places where you can go in different directions. It depends on your risk appetite, to be very honest, and how much you're willing to go against the crowd, guys. You can go for options like Trent or Robertson, or even Reece James if he's fit. If you then decide to go ahead with these picks, I think you should actually understand the sacrifices that you're making in other areas of the pitch, if there are any. If your team value is high, guys, I don't think so it should be a problem. But if it is not, then you'll most likely make sacrifices in midfield with maybe a mid-range or an 8 million midfielder spot. I feel players like Martinelli, Rashford, Almiron, or even the 8 million midfielders like Foden, Saka, Maddison, I think they represent more value than these premium defenders, guys. Also, the lack of clean sheets from premium teams, it's not really giving me a lot of confidence. And to be honest, guys, we're still not very sure about how strong the Liverpool defense is going to be. Now, whether Chelsea are going to keep clean sheets or not, we still don't know all these questions. And because of the fact that there are so many unknowns, guys, I think rather than going for these high-priced defenders, you can actually look for more value in midfield. Now don't get me wrong, if you're looking to catch up on rank guys, then going for one of these premium defenders like a Reece James, like a Robertson, etc., I think that could be the way to go, but then that's actually quite a risky strategy guys. Now if you start seeing Liverpool keeping a lot more clean sheets guys, I think players like Trent and Robertson, they can become options, but at that sort of a price range, you will get better midfielders and more value out of them. So guys, if you want to play safe at the start, I think it's more of a wait and watch situation. You don't get into these premium defenders just yet. I mean, you can take a chance with your fourth defender maybe being Reece James, but I think you should go with the popular options, at least the good options from popular teams, so that you do not really take a lot of chances. You get some more data, get some more understanding, and then you start moving for these defenders depending on the fixtures. Now let's move on to the next question guys, which is the best Man City triple up to get in our FPL teams. Now I don't think so there's any debate in terms of how many players should we get from Man City guys. I think we should max it out, we should get a triple up. Now the question is which triple up to go for. Should we start investing in defense? Should we start investing in cheaper defenders from Man City? Or should we go all out attack in Man City? Now again, the assumption here is that one of the slots is already taken by Erling Haaland, because more than 80% managers already own him guys, and that's rightly so. So we probably will be talking about the other two spots, the other two remaining spots in that Man City team. Now there are three realistic options to be very honest. Among defenders, I think Cancelo is the one to consider guys. Yes, he's costing a lot of money, a lot more than somebody like a Laporte or an Akanji or even a Walker, but I think you're getting that nailness in that City lineup guys. He's going to be in that City backline for most games for Man City guys. I don't think so he gets a lot of rest anyways, and I think if you're looking at a nailed option, he's the one to go for. Now I understand his underlying stats, they have shown some regression from last year, but he's owned by more than 50% of FPL managers guys. I think it's worth keeping him if you want to play it safe. But the other potential alternatives in defense are Akanji and Walker guys, as they're the most budget picks to be very honest. Now minutes could be issue for both of them, as there could be some rotation happening in those centre back and those full back positions guys. Now especially with Ruben Dias out for a month, I think Laporte and Akanji, they can become first choice centre backs, but then the presence of Stones makes this spot and even the fullback spot a bit tricky guys. So I'm not very sure at the moment whether Stones is going to play in a fullback role, and probably Walker gets rested, but that could absolutely happen. But if we get an idea that there is a potential option who's starting for most weeks, then I think it's a conversation to be had there guys. But for now, I think Cancelo is the one to go for. Coming to midfield, and we have Kevin De Bruyne and Foden as a standard option guys. If you're looking at a more nailed option, I think KDB is the one to consider. He's played the most minutes among all Man City outfielders this season guys. I think that should continue. Now one thing to note is that after Haaland's introduction into the Man City team, KDB's role has definitely changed a lot guys. He's more of a creator than a goal scorer right now guys. His chance creation numbers and the creativity numbers are absolutely elite, but his goal scoring potential has definitely come down. So that means that he's now less explosive, and the chances of getting a hat-trick with KDB and a double-digit haul with KDB, they're a lot lesser than before. If Foden can get regular starts guys, I think he can become a more valuable option than KDB. Now we have seen that Foden is a goal scorer, but right now again, minutes could be his biggest problem. We know that he was benched for 3 of the last 4 games before the FPL break, and that happened when he had no injury concerns guys, so that is a bit worrying. Let's see if that continues or not. But I think the safer play is to go for KDB from the off, and then try to maybe cover the Liverpool attack with a Darwin Núñez if you can't get Salah in your team. That's a safer option, but if you want to go a bit more aggressive, then you go for Foden to cover off the Man City attack, and let's just hope that he starts the upcoming fixtures. Also guys, if we see options like Mahrez, Palmer or even Grealish starting and doing well, in that case they can be potential picks in midfield, but for now it's just Kevin De Bruyne and Foden. Now let's talk about the last dilemma for Gameweek 17 guys, is having an 8 million midfielder spot necessary? I think this is a very important debate, a very good debate that a lot of FPL managers have had since the start of the season guys. Now is the 8 million midfielder spot required, to be very honest? Guys, I feel because of the presence of so many good options like Saka, Mount, Foden, you have Madison and Kulusevski as well, I think it's an excellent strategy to keep a spot open and pay the best player according to the fixtures. Of course, the other argument here is that with cheap enablers like Almiron, Martinelli and Rashford in play, you can overlook the 8 million price point and go for value instead. Now with how most FPL teams are valued right now, I think you can easily afford 2 of these 3 to 4 budget picks. I feel an 8 million midfielder can also be accommodated in your team guys. So not having one at the start, I think it most likely is going to lead to you making additional moves in the future, which can definitely be avoided in Game Week 17. I think another crucial point is to consider is that what do you do with the additional money guys? Let's say if you are saving a little bit more money here and going for budget options in midfield, what do you do with that money? That could be upgrading a 4 to 4.5 million defender, or maybe upgrading a cheap striker, getting a better value elsewhere, or maybe just improving your team overall, guys, and having a better balance. So it really depends on what you do with the additional money, because if you don't really do anything, I think it's just better to go for an 8 million midfielder from the go and then change the options accordingly. To be honest, guys, it's always easier to downgrade the spot to a slightly budget one. If you see any budget options emerging, that is always a possibility, but it might be a bit tricky to upgrade to an 8 million midfielder, especially when you have a budget option lying around. In most cases, guys, you'll probably have to make some additional moves, more transfers, and then that is absolutely unnecessary. I feel having one spot in your team, it helps you retain the structure in midfield, and you can rotate players, guys. It allows you to play safely. I mean, you can go for options like Saka if Maddison's fit, that also is an option, or you can go aggressive from the start. Maybe you can take a gamble on Foden, Mount, or even Kulusevski if you're trying to gain rank. So that'll be all from my side for this video, guys. I know it was a long one, but there was a lot to unpack for Game Week 17, for the dilemmas for Game Week 17, guys. I'll try to keep the future videos short, guys, but I think this was a required one. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed the FPL Dilemmas video for Game Week 17, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the Insanely Football FPL channel if you want to get more videos like these, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.